Hey folks, welcome back to my neck of the woods. My name's Deco, where I share my experience and my knowledge, hoping to lessen your learning curve. So today I am going to talk about hunting and how it's not fun all the time and all these sort of situations and maybe ethical dilemmas and decisions you have to make usually after the kill, and how it affects us as people and human beings and hunters. And maybe a lot of other people don't know what we go through as hunters. And this is sort of a shout out or a warning, or let young hunters or new hunters know what you may have to deal with if you haven't dealt with it already. If you don't come from a family of hunters, or you don't have a friend that's a hunter, that you're just getting into this. I'm going to relate most of this to deer hunting, all right? So before I get started, please sub the channel, like my videos, and make some comments. You know that I love the comments. So deer hunting is not always fun. There's a lot of situations, usually why we hunt. For the most part, it's very personal reasons why we hunt. Some people hunt because they actually need food. There's a lot of people that hunt rite of passage. There's a lot of people that hunt just because they like it. They like nature. They have respect for the animals. They're into conservation. A lot of us, including myself, I'm a conservationist first and kind of a hunter second. And why we hunt is usually some sort of respect, or the love of the outdoors, or for food, like I said before. But it's usually never for, I like to kill animals. I like to go out and just mercilessly kill animals. That's usually not the case. There are people that do that, but it's usually not the case. Every hunter that I know or have come across is usually some sort of respect for the animal, and they're not out there just to kill an animal. But we are out there killing animals, and these are some of the situations that you're going to walk into when you kill an animal, when you harvest an animal. So first off, some of us, there's a little bit of sadness that you feel sometimes. Sometimes you've killed a deer, you've found your deer, it's laying there, and you have respect for it, and you respect that you've taken its life for your food. Or some people do it for sport, don't get me wrong. And there's a little bit of sadness there sometimes. So you have to kind of prepare yourself to deal with that, so you don't lose your cool out in the woods. And if you do, so be it. It's happened to people, but there's a lot of people out there that have a new hunter that have, they like to go out with the boys, and, they like to hunt, and they like to sit in a tree stand, they like to scout and put cameras up and all this other stuff. But once they kill a deer, they have this overwhelming feeling of sadness, excuse me, and then they never hunt again. So something you should prepare yourself for if you can. It's hard to prepare. Obviously, I've talked about respect for the animal. That's something that you should be prepared to, talk about or boast, or be able to sort of defend your opinions against others, because there's going to be people that don't agree with what you do. And I always felt it's best to educate them from a respect point of view, as opposed to just not deal with them. Be friendly and try to educate people. Some people just don't want to listen, but that's fine. If you hunt for food, that's fine. There are many people that in this country, the United States, that still hunt because they need food. So it's not all of them are going to the grocery store every day, or they do it by choice, like me. I have not bought meat in a grocery store in, 15 years at least. So, and then there's choices that you make, and then there is peer pressure. There is a lot of peer pressure sometimes. And it's all a personal choice what you want to do. You want to shoot a doe and harvest a doe, by all means. You worked hard out there, you did your scouting, and you want to shoot a doe, that's fine. I do. I shoot does, and sometimes I shoot young does. It depends on the situation at the time, but it's a choice that you personally have to make, and you can't let other people interfere with it. So I talk about a friend of mine sometimes, and I'll give him a hard time. My friend Jim, I'm sure I've talked to him before, and he was like, "Oh, I let this doe pass." I'm like, "Will you shoot that thing, for Christ's sakes? Shoot that thing. It walks by you every day. Just shoot it." And I don't mean it to go out and kill it, but our approaches to hunting are different, and there's been another situation where I've been out with a friend of mine, and we were hunting maybe, 80 yards apart, and he'd text me, he's like, oh, I just passed on this 5-pointer. I said, oh, you mean this one that's laying on the ground? So I would go past him, and then I would shoot it or whatnot. Everyone has a different choice out there, but there are things after the kill that you need to prepare yourself for, and that is the sounds of a dying deer. Sometimes you get these sounds. Now, sometimes they are based on bad shots. When you hit a deer and it's close up and it doesn't go straight through the lungs or even straight through the guts, and say it sticks into the deer, the deer is gonna go, Rah! It's gonna flail all over the place. The first time I heard that, I was like, holy crap. So obviously you don't want bad shots, but bad shots happen, especially in bow hunting, where you hit it in the shoulder, or you hit it in the neck, or you hit it somewhere that, or spine it. Spining it is absolutely the worst, because you'll hit it, it can't move, and then it just screams. It screams bloody murder. These are things that you have to prepare yourself with. And then moving on to that, so say you spine a deer, right, and it can't move, or it can only move its front legs, or it can only move its back legs, and it's screaming and it's flailing, and you get out of your tree stand and you're standing there looking at it, or you're blind, or whatever you're hunting from, and you're standing there looking at it. Usually spining a deer is not a lethal shot. It will just incapacitate them, and they can't move. And there's two schools of thoughts on this. Are they suffering? I think they're suffering, at least emotionally, because they're scared and you're standing over them and they don't really know what's happening. Some people say that they're paralyzed and they're not feeling any pain. I think they're genuinely scared. I'm not trying to give human qualities to a deer, but I think they're genuinely in distress when you spine them. The best thing to do is to put another arrow into them, and hopefully a vital area. They do tend to move around, or you could dispatch it with a knife, both of which are not easy to deal with at the time sometimes. When you're just up close, you can see their eyes looking at you, up close and personal, and you have to put another arrow into it. Then there are other situations where, say you hit a deer and you one-lunged it, and it hit the shoulder coming out on the other side, but that deer is incapacitated and it's just sitting there. Will that deer die over time if you just walk away and let it sit there and let it die? It doesn't seem to be in any crazy distress, but it can't move anymore. You have to decide whether something is a lethal hit. Now, in my earlier days, I would just pump another arrow into it, and kill it quicker, so to speak. I'd put another one and I'd make sure it's double lunged, and I would do that. But what's the best choice? Is it to pump another arrow into it, or just let it die slowly over time? These are all personal choices that you're going to have to make when you're in the field. And every hunter has to make them usually at least one time. As you progress as a hunter and as you get better, you have more respect for the animal and you want to take those better shots. But sometimes when you're a young gun out there, you kind of fling arrows or shoot at everything that moves because you're psyched to be out hunting and you actually saw a deer that day or whatever. But as you progress and mature as a hunter, the choices become easier, because your decisions before the kill are better. Hopefully this is helpful to you. Hopefully you make better decisions out there, and hopefully you keep hunting and you don't quit after you reach some sort of sadness, and hopefully you learn from the situation and you just get better. All right, that's all I have for you. Sub my channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Be well.